Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the E53 sponsored ANZCAR Cup race of Las Vegas. I hope you are all well. Tonight, it's me and myself, Carl Widdy, being joined by a new face for this season, Ryan Shelton. How are you going?
Doing pretty great. Yourself?
Good, actually, good. Yes, so we're in for 133 laps tonight of the 1.5 mile tri-oval, so it should be an interesting race. Everybody's been struggling a little bit tonight with the track itself. It seems to be a little bit greasy out there tonight.
Yeah, it's they're running a different weather than what we're pretty used to in the AFIC series with these cars. They're running in the morning time, which allows more shadow to be cast on that turn 3 and 4. It gives you kind of a false sense of grip going out of 4 as the sun is shining right down on there on the exit of 4, and also 1 and 2 have no shade whatsoever like we're used to running, so it presents a different challenge that most of these drivers aren't used to, and it's starting to show during practice, but it should make for a pretty good race.
Yes, it's a bit different. We've got a track temperature tonight of about 29 degrees Celsius, so a bit cooler than usual, and that's going to make for a really interesting race. A lot of drivers have actually been tapping the wall tonight, finding it very hard, especially around the exit of turn 4. They've just been getting a little bit, sort of just finding the car a little bit tight and just running up into that wall.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with the setup, but it also has a lot to do with, like I said, how this track is built. That turn 4 wall is hard enough to hit already, as it is normally. Normally, you're a little bit loose around this track with the regular standard setup. You're more loose than you are tight, but with the way the weather is set up and the way the car is set up, it's making it a little tight coming off 4, so you'll probably see a lot of outside passes going through turn 3 and 4.
Yes, we should see some interesting action, and the high line is probably going to be the favoured line tonight. So before we go off, qualifying's just started. We'll actually just run through the results for the championship at the moment, where everybody's sitting and standing. So, and my points have just gone down. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. One moment, sorry, my championship points has just disappeared off my screen. Okay, so there we go. So the championship standing is Josh Michelmore with first place, and he's running with 90 points in total. Second is Dave Douglas with 83 points. Third is Michael Scurlock with 80 points. Fourth is Edward Foster with 78. Fifth is Jason Martin with 76 points. Expecting to see him actually raising up the points board quite soon. Sixth is Joshua Carroll Walden with 74. Seventh we have Matthew Cluett with 68. And in joint 7th place is Chris Purnell. 9th place we have Danny G. And in 9th place is Danny Stevens. And in 10th place we have Danny G. So we're off to qualifying now, so we'll see what cars are out on the track, see who's going around, see who's going to be setting that fast time. Okay, so we're just following Josh Michelmore at the moment. Josh is probably the guy that we expect to be running quite high. He seems to have some good pace in practice.
Yeah, he was the fastest driver in practice overall with a 28.516, and it looks like he may have had an issue on his run-up lap. And he is going to go ahead and take a stop and try to reset this qualifying
yes,
for himself.
As you say that, he's just coming back out the pits, so he's going to try for another run. Maybe he just didn't feel the car was quite right coming through one of those corners. And one of the troublesome things is on a track like this is the exit of a corner is key for speed usually. If you get a good exit coming out those corners, you're going to build up your speed, you're going to find yourself a little bit faster than the rest.
Yeah, currently, Mirko has the top time with a 29.0. That is half a second slower than what Josh Michelmore put down in practice, but that is also 0.3 slower than what he put down in practice. So it looks like the qualifying times might be a little bit slower than the practice times due to the track being hotter, whatever. So we'll see as qualifying goes on, see if this track slows down a little bit.
Yes, well, track evolution has become a real big thing for iRacing now with the dynamic track, dynamic weather, basically. It's really... Oh, and Josh Michelmore has just tapped the fence coming out onto the tri-oval for his qualifying lap, and he's crossed the line, and he's going to be quite slow there. That's going to ruin his chances for tonight, I think.
Yeah, he will not have a qualifying lap. So our fastest practice time will not start in the front. He will be starting towards the back after everybody has put down a lap time. So Scurlock is currently our fastest qualifier who we're following. Now he has a 29.0, just came across for his second lap for a 29.2, so he won't improve, but he's, again, about half a second slower than his qualifying lap. Yes, so this track has significantly slowed down.
Yeah, the track has just slowed down that little bit, and it's one of the things that can happen, as you were saying, with the weather changes, with the actual where the sun's sitting tonight. With Gavin Sadler now, but with how the weather changes, it can really make a difference. And you go out there on one lap expecting the track to feel one way, and it can feel slightly different and really throw you off.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's going to happen throughout this race as the rubber gets down, and you'll find out hot in line as Gavin just puts down a 29.2 in that number 71 Toyota, and you'll see these guys throughout the race will continue to use all 3 lanes of this track, the bottom right on that white line, and then you'll kind of see 2 seams through the track where you'll see the how they pave this track. There's 3 distinct seams or lanes. You'll see those guys use them actually as lane markers per se, and figure out where they want to be on track. The fastest line normally is the middle through 1 and 2, and then right on that white line through 3 and 4. That's the normal fast line, but you'll see that change through a tire run or as the weather starts to change throughout the night.
Yeah. So we're just with Ricky Cornwall now. So Ricky Cornwall coming out for his lap, and he's usually relatively fast, so it'll be interesting to see how he does. We've got some fast runners out there. Edward Foster has actually just gone out for his first his qualifying run. So we'll see how he does as well. I'm going to be following Edward Foster tonight. He's going to be my driver of the night, so to say, to follow. He's having a great season so far. He's having a very he's always managing to keep himself up there or thereabouts, and he did that last year as well, and that earned him second in the championship. So far, he's been 5th and 4th this year, so it'll be interesting to see where he comes for this race. And he has actually just crossed the line and got 2nd place on that lap. So 29.3, just a tad slower, 0.3 of a second slower than Scurlock in first, but he's going to try for that 2nd lap, see if he can improve.
Yeah, I don't think Edward's running the lap.
Does look like he's pulling off of that one, but 2nd place is not a bad place to be at the moment. It does look like everybody's really struggling out there at the moment. There's been a lot of people having just little taps on the walls, things like that, and just struggling for that first lap out on the track after, well, first lap on fresh tyres. So we're now with Riley Curtis, who's actually got a new paint scheme for tonight. He's got the K&N sponsor on there. K&N have let him run this sponsorship on the car, and Bloke's Advice have actually let them be on the car as well. Absolutely fantastic looking car he's got here, the 93 of Riley Curtis.
Yeah, it's a really good paint scheme. It's a little different than what you're used to with the RCD guys. It's a little bit more simple, I should say, but it's still very clean and very nice. As you see Riley Curtis here, his qualifying lap is currently a 29.2, and he looks like he's not going to improve on his 2nd one as he just drops down. That's going to put him 11th place overall.
Yes, a lot of guys are just doing the single lap tonight because I think the tyres are going off very quickly. They're really struggling with the grip out there. From what I could see, a lot of people were struggling. So Jackson Callow now, somebody else with a slightly new paint scheme for tonight, it looks like. So Jackson's usually a pretty fast guy. We'll see how he does for this lap. And he's out coming into the tri-oval, and we'll get the time in a moment. And down in 19th, so not a great lap there for Jackson Callow. Usually he's a lot faster than that, so he's struggling out there at the moment, but he's going to try go around for that 2nd lap. He might be able to pull something off with those tyres. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, that number 46 Chevy comes around turn 3, and you'll see him just hug that bottom line, see if he can improve on that 29.5, which currently has him in 19th position. And he crosses the line with a 29.4. That does improve him, but it's only to 17th place. So he did gain one more row. It's not far, but at least he's improving. It shows you that he's going to be moving up through the field probably.
Yeah, and it does show actually that the tyres aren't dropping off quite as much as people may think. So some people that didn't do that second run might be kicking themselves now. We're on Norman Clark now, again a driver with great experience. He's been driving for a number of years, both in the outside world of iRacing and in iRacing itself now. A really good driver, and usually up in the top end of the middle field, Norman.
Yeah, and he just pipped Callow with a 29.431. That'll put him in 17th place currently, and probably one of the best paint schemes out here for sure.
Yes, that paint scheme for the MFR guys is just a fantastic paint scheme. So we're just with Matt Danson now, with the fantastically coloured Rainbow Peter vegan car. One of the most eye-watering paint schemes, I may say.
Yeah, it definitely catches your attention. That's for sure.
It does.
As you see him come around here right on the white line. And we'll see if he can go fast. His practice lap was a 29.5. That did put him in practice. He was right up towards the top there in 4th. Here in qualifying, he is 2nd place with a 29.009. That is 4 1,000ths slower than Michael Scurlock for pole.
Just a tiny bit in it. There is really not much between these guys, and their time from practice to now has dropped a bit as well. So it'll be interesting to see in the race what happens, because obviously the track has evolved, and it's not evolved to a lot of these guys' likings.
Yeah, it definitely has slowed down for sure. That's the biggest thing, is it has slowed down. But we have finished qualifying. I think we're just going to run down through the field here.
Yes, so we'll start off with the rundown through the field. So on pole position we have Michael Scurlock. In 2nd place next to him we have Matt Danson. 3rd we have Edward Foster. 4th we have Mirko Donich. In 5th place we have Chris Purnell. 6th place we have Danny Stevens. In 7th place we have Jake Maloney. 8th we have Jason Martin. In 9th place we have Stephen Williams. In 10th place we have Matthew Clower. Coming down from 11th, we have Dave Douglas and Riley Curtis. On the next row, we have Roger Clark with Ricky Cornwall, Gavin Sadler and Joshua Carroll Walden, with Phil Otto and Norman Clark in 18th, Jackson Callow and Kai Sloggett coming in 19th and 20th. 21st, we have James Robbie. 22nd, we have Danny G. Danny G is a guy that we don't usually see down that far. Did he actually set a qualifying lap?
Yes, he had a 29.6. It was a 10th slower than James Roby.
Okay, quite a low spot for Danny G, and also Josh Michelmore as well, obviously, who had that tap of the wall in 23rd place. Darren McKenzie in 24th, with Ben Doherty in 25th. Ben's actually running a new paint scheme tonight as well. Will Barrington, Nicholas Shields and Brandon Bullos run us out on the back of the field. So they're all going to get ready, all side by side. Should be an interesting start to this race.
Yeah, we have 27 cars out here. Big field. That is a very large field. It's good turnout for tonight, especially here at Vegas. It's going to produce some really good racing. Really hope that we can get some long green flag runs in so we can start to show you, and so y'all can see some of the different lines that may come and go, and also some of the different drivers, as these tires are wearing off really, really quickly. You're getting about 5 to 10 fast laps, and then after that you're about a second slower than what you were, and after about 20 laps you're about 2.5 seconds slower than your qualifying lap. So these cars are going to slow down a lot as the green flag rolls out.
Yes, and hopefully if we do get some nice long green running, we're going to see some tactics played out as well, because there's always the mentality of who blinks first, because when you blink first you're going to gain a lot of time in the initial stages. When you come out on those fresh tyres, if you've not got any traffic around you, you can really gain some pace and gain some places. But of course, you then have to run those tyres while other people pit for nice fresh tyres and then fight them off. There's that sort of counterbalance, if you will. So it would be interesting to see what happens there. I'm hoping we get some good green laps because we could get some really good racing tonight.
Oh yeah, this track always puts on a good show. Always puts on a good show. So my driver tonight, I'm going to follow. I will be following Jason Martin in the 21. I've known him to be one of the faster guys in Australia when it comes to oval, and he's always been extremely quick. But one guy everybody needs to keep their eye on is that number 31 of Josh Michelmore. He is one of the fastest guys in this entire series, and he showed it in practice, but unfortunately was not able to put down a qualifying lap. So he'll be starting in the 23rd position. Don't be surprised if you see him in the top 10 as we're about to go green here.
So the pace car leads off. The cars are going ready. And we are green. We are green, we are green, we are green. And away we go. So Scurlock keeps the lead with Danson just behind him. The field looks to have gotten a decent start.
Oh, yeah, that's a really nice start for Scurlock. He got out of it, got out of the gate, and made sure that Danson had no chance to get on him, as Edward Foster is really under attack by Scurlock's teammates there, Purnell and Mirko, as he just got really tight. And he's getting tight again off of 4 as Purnell will go underneath him.
Looked like they were going to try free wide there for a moment. It's a scary thing to do, free wide this early in the race, but a great move there, going underneath Foster for Purnell. Foster's just run out a little bit wide and got the 29 coming in just below him of Jake Maloney. So really tight little field here. This is just giving Scurlock and Danson the chance to just streak away from the rest of the field. They've got a decent gap now from the rest of the drivers.
Yeah, it's looking like Edward's having a little bit of issues with the car getting really tight on him. Jake Maloney's trying to go underneath him, and Mirko is just stuck because he has nowhere to go. He can't find an open hole because Jake's not actually passing Edward, but Edward's not. He's not, keeping pace, and Mirko is just about to run into Edward Foster every time to go into a corner. But this may have opened up the door for Mirko as Edward drops low and Mirko stays high. We'll see if he can't make a spot here.
Yes, the high line tends to be the slightly faster line. Looks like Edward just may have just clipped the wall just very slightly there, and he's just tapped. Great save by Mako Donovic there. He managed to just save that, but he will not be happy with that at all. Just tapped him just very slightly, just as he was coming back onto the racing line. Mako Donovic, just a fantastic save there, really. I thought he was going to go round for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of those things that you'll get here, is where you'll get you'll try to drive right up underneath us. You'll see Jake Maloney. Oh, we gonna have a car off the track. He's coming back onto turn 1. Oh, who is that? Is that Mirko there? Yeah, Mirko. Oh, wow. I'm surprised that did not end up being a crash there. Mirko went flying down into turn 1 off on the apron there and went right back onto the straightaway and ended up saving it. And nobody got out of that. But as we were sitting there talking about all that was happening there, Matt Danson has taken the lead here in the opening start to the race.
Yeah, Danson looks like he's got a very fast car early on in this race. Now, of course, being fast in the opening stages of the race doesn't mean you're going to be fast for the rest of the race. You don't want to use up the tyres too quickly here. One of the things you can do is you can push a little bit too hard and take the life out of the tyres. I don't expect Matt Danson to be doing that because he's an experienced hand, but he is pushing quite hard, as well as Scurlock. They're both pulling away from the rest of the field. They've got around about I think it's about a second gap from them to the next car down, which is Jake Maloney. So they are pulling away quite well.
Yeah, Matt Danson seems to be a lot faster tonight than Scurlock, as he is just started to plow away for the last 2 laps. He's down to a 29.8, which is faster than his qualifying lap. Fastest lap for him so far is a 29.4. So he's still really kicking it here in the opening laps.
Yes, and just as we were talking, actually, it looks like Jackson Calloway may have pulled off. Not sure what's actually happened with him, but he looks like he's pulled out of the race, unfortunately. So we're 1 car down from the start, but we'll continue with the fight. The fight seems to be sort of around about the 4th to 5th place. We've got a very good battle going on just at the back with Cluett and Dave Douglas. Cluett and Daniel Stevens. The two teammates there, by the looks of things, getting very close to each other, but they're fighting if they weren't teammates at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see as they'll go down into turn one, just like we saw earlier with Mirko, the same thing happened with Matthew Chloe. He just shot it down in there, threw it in, hoping that it would stick, and it just didn't. It just wants to push up the track and get into the lane of who's ever up top. So if you're going to try to make a pass down low, you've really got to make sure you hit your braking point correct, or you see what happens there where you're just left out for dust and you're already half a second back of the guy you're battling.
Yes, it's so easy to lose the car. Turn 1 has been a bit of a bad turn for everybody tonight. They've really been struggling there. I had a chance to talk to a few of the drivers before the race, and they were saying that turn 1 was a bit of a dangerous turn, and they were really struggling for grip through there. So going for a pass in turn 1 might not be the wisest move at the moment, but we'll see what happens as the track evolves, of course.
Yeah, it looks like they're going side by side for Josh Michelmore and Ben Doughty here for the 16th position, my bad. Michelmore's down on the bottom there in that 31 Camaro, whereas Ben Doughty is up there in the 313 Exide Ford. And we do have a caution.
Yeah, caution.
Oh, it looks like Nicholas Shields, back in the 21st position, got connected with Ricky Cornwall. He bounced off the wall, and then they just came together.
Oh, that is such a shame. It's one of those easy things to do. You're running so close to the walls here, but all it takes is that momentary lapse in concentration, and you're almost out of it. Just before that caution came out, though, Jason Martin was really struggling with Daniel Stevens behind him. He was really fighting to try and keep him behind. I'm not sure if Jason made a slight mistake, actually, when he was coming through the corner, because he looked to have lost a lot of speed there, but this caution has absolutely saved him from that.
Yeah, and all these guys are going to be really happy that they, at least get a 10-lap run in, be able to fill out what they've got, what kind of car they've got, how the track's reacted to them, and how the car is going to react throughout the run. Those 10 laps you don't really have a good gain, but you at least have something to work off of. So these guys are going to go into the pits, get some new tires, get some fuels, reset themselves, and you'll probably see a little bit of a different race here come up. You'll probably see these guys probably not be as aggressive as they were at the opening earlier, or you might see them be a little more aggressive. We'll see how they play out here as they hop into the pits.
And we'll see how they go for the pit stops now. Just watching as we go through. Looks like everybody's hit their marks pretty well. We'll see who manages to get out of the lane first. It's going to be a big race between Danson. Danson's got out in front. Just dropping back. Looks like Edward Foster has had a bit of a bad pit stop. He's dropped all the way. He's dropped down to about 7th on my list. Looks like he got a lot of wheel spin coming out of his pit box and just caught it before it went bad. But we'll wait for everybody just to sort of calm down a little bit, and we'll see what's happened when they cross the line.
Yeah, that was a good pit stop for Matt Danson. He was able to get in and out, keep that lead. Chris Purnell will move up 1 position. Jason Martin will move up. It looks to be 2 positions. No, he'll move up 1 position also. So will Daniel Stevens. And the biggest loser out of this one is Edward Foster. He just was unable to get a good pit stop. We'll see what happened here. He was still sitting in the pits before everything started. He actually... Oh, he just got too far ahead. I went back and watched it. He was outside of the box just a little bit, and it caused him to lose those 3 spots. So Edward Foster should be able to move up a few more spots here.
Yeah, it won't be the end of his race, but he'll be annoyed about it. It's one of those things that's so easy to do. Now, you look at people coming into the pit lane here, and you look at them stopping, and you think, that's not too hard. Surely that's not a hard thing to do when you're coming sort of into the pit lane, because you think, oh, you're going to have low speed, all of this stuff. But it's so easy to make a mistake coming out of this pit lane. Coming out the pit box itself, it's a bit of a different track compound, of course, because it is concrete on the pit lane. So you can easily spin the tyres. It's very slippery in there sometimes. Of course, there's not as much rubber down because there's no racing in the pit lane. So it's a lot harder than it looks. And stopping on your marks is something that takes so much practice. a bit like when you're driving your car out on the road, for instance. You know, when you're trying to stop exactly on the line where the red light is, it's very hard to gauge that. When you're in one of these race cars, you don't have a huge amount of view. When you're actually in the cockpit of one of these cars, there's not a huge view to be had, and it is very tricky to get that mark right.
Yeah, the biggest thing with pit road is that you're going highway speeds. I mean, the pit speed here is 80 kilometers an hour. So these guys are still, you know, they're still going pretty quick. I mean, they're going about how fast you drive on the highway every single day, and they're having to stop essentially as fast as they possibly can, while other guys are still also doing the highway. So it's like going out on the highway and just stopping, you know, right on the side of the road there. So it is a bit difficult, and it is very dangerous for sure. Don't think because they look like they're going slow is because they're not. I mean, right now they look like they're going slow, but they're going faster than you drive normally at 90 kilometers an hour.
Some of the bravest people I've known are people who've worked in pit lanes. There is a certain madness when you're standing in front of a car doing 80 kilometers an hour, coming towards you and stopping on the dime in front of you. It's a very, very dangerous thing to do, and takes a brave person to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a little bit different for these NASCAR pit crews, because they're exposed a lot more than just about every other pit road in all of motorsport. You know, they got they're carrying the jacks. 95% of these events don't carry jacks. You know, it's all air jacks now, so it's a little bit more rough now versus some of the other events. But here we're about to go green again, as Matt Danson will lead the field once more.
So we'll be going 2 by 2, and looks like Matt Danson's got a great start. Of course, when you're leading from the pace car, it's your choice to go off. Looks like Danson got a great start, and Jake Maloney as well.
Yeah, Jake Maloney got a huge start. He went from 3rd to 2nd. I know it's not a huge lot, but normally you don't make that position there. As Edward Foster just tapped the Dave Douglas number 10 car, and that's going to push Dave Douglas back a lot. So Edward Foster is still having troubles on that opening turn 1 there, as he's just ran up wide and got into him, and that's pushed back Dave Douglas.
Yeah, not a good night actually for Edward Foster so far. He's really struggling on the slightly colder tyres, it seems, and just tapping Dave Douglas there. Of course, they're both in and actually, just as we're talking, Jake Maloney has taken the lead. What a fantastic restart and starting laps for Jake Maloney.
Yeah, he made the pass coming out of turn 4 there, and he just got up underneath him, and we'll see if Jake Maloney is going to be able to hold it. You know, we saw this last time. Matt Danson got passed for the lead early in the race, and Matt Danson was able to make it come back due to he's probably just a little bit better on the tires or whatever. But here's Jake Maloney now taking his shot at leading a couple of laps here. We'll see if he can hold it.
It's always a good thing if you can get a couple of laps led, you always get that extra bonus point, and that can be a big difference maker for the championship. Lead lap points can make a huge difference for you in the future. But it looks like he's taken a very different line to Matt Danson, and it is working for him. It seems to be benefiting him quite a lot.
Yeah, that higher line seems to be a lot better. Normally here you want to stay in that middle seam throughout the whole first and second corner. You want to stay in that middle seam through 1 and 2, but normally you want to go bottom in 3 and 4, but he's running more of a late apex style to try to get all the turning done as soon as possible so he can maximize his speed through the straightaway.
Yeah.
Oh, we got one car loose in the back here. That is Edward Foster. His troubles continue. He went down on the apron there, and he is slowing down a lot because he had to save it coming through the apron.
Yeah, big amount of oversteer there by the looks of it. He just really lost it, and he's lost quite a few places from that. He's now sitting back in 9th place. Not a night that he'd want to be having. It looks like that car is an absolute pig to drive. And just behind him, we've actually got 3 wide with Riley Curtis, Dave Douglas, and Gavin Sadler as they cross the line. So looks like Riley Curtis has actually just got ahead, and we're still pretty much 3 wide there. Dave Douglas is running the outside line, I think, and no, sorry, that was Riley Curtis running the outside line, and he's managed to pull it off. Riley Curtis has just got to 10th place. Fantastic move there by Riley.
Yeah, and Dave Douglas is moving back further and further as this run goes on. He is not enjoying this one. As Josh Michelmore, the guy we were talking about earlier, not to be surprised if he's in the top 10 early. He's already in 12th position as Dave Douglas just got loose also on that apron. He just tapped it, and that's going to put him back in the 13th position, right in front of Ben Doughty and Steve Williams there as they fight for position. That was really close for Dave Douglas and Ben Doughty. Looked like Ben was trying to go for that high line, but Dave Douglas just chopped his nose off, and that's going to push him back a little bit further. This battle for 13th continues to light up.
They're running very, very close, these guys, and it's so easy to make a tiny mistake as you go through. And Josh Michelmore there just going up top of Gavin Sadler. So we've got some real good racing actually in the back there. Even a bit further back with Stephen Williams, James Robbie, and Mirko Donovic. He's actually sort of climbing his way back up the field from his prior sort of incident, unfortunately. Be good to see him get back up towards the top because he was very fast tonight. But he's there with his Illusion Motorsport teammate of Stephen Williams, I think it is, and they're racing pretty hard down the back in 16th and 18th place.
Yeah, and these guys are racing each other really hard as Gavin Sadler tries to get up underneath Josh Walden as he just shot it up underneath as he had that high line and Joshua was down on the bottom. And now they're going side by side coming through the front stretch. We'll see if Gavin can make a good pass here going on the inside through turn 1, as he does look like he's completed it for now, but he's going to have to clear him on corner exit, which is really hard to do here, and he just does, and that's going to put him up into the 9th position.
I do wonder actually if Joshua Carroll Walden made a slight mistake there, because he did look like he'd lost a lot of speed. Riley Curtis just had a huge jump on him. Some of these guys are just... Oh, and we've got a car just running a bit loose there at the back. It looks like Dave Douglas there just had a bit of a moment, and he managed to catch it. And just in front of him we've got Kai Sloggett, who looks like he might have slight connection issues. We'll see how that goes, but he seemed to be just clicking in and out of the of existence there for a couple of seconds. But Dave Douglas had a bit of a moment there at the back of the grid. We'll see how that goes.
And it looks like Matt Danson has taken the lead again as they've been battling for about the last 2 laps here. And Jake Maloney was able just to hold off on that top line. Matt Danson is making that bottom line work. Everybody else is running higher, so we'll see how the tires work out for Matt Danson. But currently they are still side by side. They have not left each other's door for the last 3 laps or so. As he'll finally complete this pass, Jake Maloney's going to look to do the over-under, see if he can't get back underneath him, but he's just not going to do it. And that's going to leave Matt Danson back up into the lead.
Yeah, good pass there. I just wonder if possibly Maloney just got a slight tap on his right rear. It looks like there's a little bit of damage actually on his right rear. I thought I saw it. He had actually just slid up into the wall slightly and just tapped the back of that car. Not a huge amount of damage, just a little bit of a bend into the rear of the car there. So hopefully that won't cause him too many problems, but we'll see how that goes. A lot of people are just tagging the wall just very slightly this race though. It seems to be very slippery out there still. Oh, and we've got a big moment there just at the back of the grid. We've got Danny G and trying to find out who that was. It was Matthew Clurt. Matty Clurt and Danny G just got into each other, I think so. I think it was Danny G. Just caught the front of Clurt and almost spun him. Amazingly, Clurt didn't lose the car and managed to keep that thing on track. I was sure that was going to be a yellow then. So great car control there by both of those guys.
Yeah, it looks like we have some serious battling happening right now for that 13th position. Josh Michelmore seems to have ran his tires out just a little bit too much, and he's unable to really make any ground up after he's made a few passes. He's got James Roby right behind him on the back side of that car, and alongside of them there is Dave Douglas. So these guys are really battling it out. They're trying to chase down Kai Sloggett here for the 12th position.
Yeah, these guys are not liking these slightly longer runs on those tyres. And oh, Gavin Sadler again just getting loose. Sorry, not Gavin Sadler, sorry. Where am I? I think it was the 41 there. James Robbie, sorry. Yeah, James Robbie just got really loose there. Of course, both of them are running the beautiful bright yellow cars, and I'm used to Gavin Sadler having that colour. Sorry about that. But yeah, a big moment there for James Robbie. He managed to keep the car in control still, but definitely struggling. So yeah, all through the field, they're all wobbling there. Nobody's got a really clean car at the moment. Apart from Matt Danson, who seems to have the car under complete control at the moment. Looks like he is running away with the lead.
Yeah, and Jake Maloney, just like we talked at the beginning of the session here. Oh, we have a caution. We have yellow flag is out here as the 98 of Stephen Williams has made contact with the wall here. Let's see what happened here. He got loose coming off turn 2 and just got tagged by his teammate, and he tagged Danny G, and that put him in the outside wall, and that's going to spell a huge damage. It looks like we also have another car that got involved in there, as it was Danny G was the other car that was involved there.
Yeah, I definitely saw Danny G, Stephen Williams, and Nicholas Shields, I think, maybe got slightly involved in that. Trying to get a closer look at Nicholas Shields. His car is looking a little bit second-hand, so to say. It's looking a little bit crinkled, but we'll see how that goes. But a big incident there for a couple of guys that are usually right up there at the front, so everybody is really struggling. It shows when the class of the field is struggling tonight.
Yeah, and as they come back down for more tires, this is exactly what Jake Maloney wanted. He had really pushed at the beginning to try to get that lead and try to get a couple of laps led, and he was falling back quickly as Jason Martin has moved up into the 4th position during that run. He was about to collect Jake Maloney also to get the 3rd, as he has started from 7th, moved up +4 positions, and he's had a really good night, better than what his start was, and he might be able to show off and get another win here at Las Vegas.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how everybody comes out the pits now. Really fast stop there for one of the Illusion guys, I think it was, Chris Purnell. Very fast stop there. So Chris Purnell has actually just jumped into the lead there, flying ahead of everybody else. So yeah, big gains there for Chris. I wonder if he took a little bit less fuel, or if he did something different on that one.
No, he it takes longer to take tires than it does fuel, but he just got into his box really fast, and that's what put him from 2nd to 1st. He was in 2nd position because he had just passed Jake Maloney for that 2nd position, so he was able to pip him just enough.
About 1.75 seconds quicker than anybody else. That is a very good pit stop indeed. Chris Purnell with a really good stop. Speaking of good stops, Jason Martin has jumped up into 3rd place as well, so it worked out quite well for him. And then we have Edward Foster, Gavin Sadler and Roger Clark, 5th, 6th and 7th, also made up some really good positions on those pit stops.
Yeah, it looks like the biggest thing that happened between Matt Danson and Chris Purnell is just that they got stopped. Purnell got stopped like completely to 0 kilometers an hour faster than Matt Danson did, and that was the difference between the pit stops. So that's gonna really help out Chris Purnell here, as he's gonna have the lead position.
And that's it. It's just the way you brake. Of course, these cars don't have ABS on them, of course, so you have to make sure you brake yourself and not lock up a wheel. Again, that's an easy thing to do when you're coming into the pit lane here. It's just locking up. These cars are quite heavy. Of course, they're going very fast into the pit lane, and the brakes are not. The brakes on these cars are a little bit finicky sometimes.
Yeah, they definitely have small brakes for the size of the car. For how much horsepower and how much they weigh, they're definitely very small, and the way you have to have this car set up to race it, a lot of guys run a lot of rear braking bias, so you'll even see it even in the real Cup series when they're coming into their pit stop, their rear tires will lock up before the fronts do. It's one of the weirdest looking things, but that's how they've got these cars set up. It's got a lot of rear brake in it, so that it turns the car a little bit better.
Yes.
So it's actually pretty cool to see, but it is very hard to come to a complete stop.
And the other thing, when you've got a lot of rear brake bias, of course, is the car tends to like to loop around on you. The back end likes to jump ahead of the front, so you have to be very careful not to do that too.
Yep, lights are off on the pace car, so that means one more lap left of green here. We'll have Chris Purnell lead them to the start-finish line. One thing to note, Jake Maloney has disconnected from the service. He came into the pits and never left, so I'm not sure what's happening there, but Jake Maloney is out of the race. That's going to leave Jason Martin in the 3rd position, starting beside Daniel Stevens in the 4th position. Roger Clark will round out your top 5.
A real shame there for Jake. Possibly some form of issue there for the connection. Sometimes it does happen, unfortunately. A bit like a car breaking down in the real series, of course. The internet troubles can be a problem. So the lights are out, and Chris Purnell will be leading the cars. So it's his job to become the pace car as soon as it peels off and goes into the pit lane, and he will have the opportunity to make the jump if he wants to.
There we go. It is up on Purnell, and Purnell will get the jump as Matt Danson comes down right in front of Jason Martin. He doesn't want anything. He doesn't want any part of Jason being able to have a chance at jumping him, just like Jake Maloney did on I forgot who it was earlier, but it doesn't really matter, as Purnell is currently leading and Matt Danson is trying to take that lead from him as they go down into turn 3.
Yes, a good start there by Chris. He's got a nice little bit of lead, but with Danson doing that move on Martin, it's just meant that Martin lost a little bit of momentum, because of course he would have had a little bit more momentum and he'd have to just lift off the accelerator a little bit. And of course you don't want Jason Martin getting in front of you, because that can be a very dangerous thing indeed. Just got back down the back, actually. James Robbie just getting very, very close to, I think it was Dave Douglas or Ben Doherty, actually. Ben Doherty it was, just getting very, very close together, rubbing their doors to each other. But the focus is at the front at the moment, with Jason Martin actually just getting past Matt Danson.
Yeah, it happened in 3 and 4. Matt Danson just kind of let him go after Jason Martin went up underneath him. I think he's trying to save his tires a little bit because he thinks that, you know, they're done wrecking for now. So he might be able to do what he's been doing, where he goes to about 2nd or 3rd place and then ends up back at the lead, you know, as the laps start to wind off these tires. We got a few battles out back as we see almost 3 wide here for Riley Curtis, Josh Michelmore in that 31, as they're battling for the 8th position here, and they are side by side currently, as Riley Curtis has that high line, so it's going to be very hard for Josh Michelmore to make that pass.
Yeah, some good battles down at the back of the field as well. We had Joshua Carroll Walden, Matthew Clute and James Robbie as well, 3 wide going through the tri-oval a minute ago, and that's a brave thing to do. Sometimes valour is the better part of bravery. You sort of can be a bit dangerous going through that tri-oval 3 wide. It's going into turn 1, it can get a bit slippery, but they managed it, so that's good to see. We've got a good little battle as well with Roger Clark and Edward Foster too. Edward Foster's climbed his way back up to 5th place, but he's just dropped down to 6th, and he's got Gavin Saville behind him now. And up in front we've still got Danny Stevens catching on Matt Danson, and we've got Jason Martin trying to get in for the lead now against Chris Purnell.
Yeah, Jason Martin has really gotten some speed up underneath him. He may, you know, we'll see if he can hold on to it after about 10 laps or so. That seems to be when Matt Danson tends to be really fast. Seems like his car is set up a lot better for these long runs, whereas the other guys have set their car up for these little short runs, and we'll see if Jason Martin can actually hold that 2nd position. He just dropped back to try to see if he can't slingshot up to Chris Purnell going into turn 1, but it looks like it might be not what he was looking for here, as he just lost a little bit of time doing that. So we'll see if he continues racing in that same line there in 3 and 4, as they are side by side for the 6th position there with Edward Foster and Galvin Sadler. See if Sadler can't make the pass going into 3 and 4 here.
Yeah, and just behind him with Riley Curtis and Josh Michelmore as well. Josh Michelmore's climbed his way up to 9th now. They're having a very good fight too. Riley Curtis having a good night, still up in 8th place. He's just catching on his teammate Edward Foster. Gavin Sadler's just got past Foster as well, and the two Middle Finger Racing are actually having a good race tonight with Roger Clark and Daniel Stevens up in 4th and 5th. So a really good showing for those guys. One thing I'd say though is Jason Martin and Matt Dancer are two people you don't want behind you on a track that has tyre wear, because those two guys have just this magical ability to have their tyres just not pick up wear and just last longer than everybody else. They can usually eke it out and make it so their cars are faster towards the end of a stint, and it's just a little bit of just a bit of different driving style by those two, and they usually manage to make those tyres last longer and carry the speed through it. Now Chris Purnell is no slouch either, so it'll be interesting to see how these three battle it out.
Yeah, looks like we've got some pretty serious battling back here for the 7th position on here with Edward Foster. He's just trying to push. I believe that is the Riley Curtis car there. Oh, and we have the 62 of Mirko up into the wall as he tried to run that high line and just didn't get it down, as Riley Curtis is now side by side with Josh Michelmore. There's all kinds of action going on here for that 6th position back.
Yes, I would not want to be in Matt Hunter's shoes trying to catch all the action tonight on the stream. Mirko Danovic has actually done a great recovery drive up to 11th place now. Fantastic drive by him. He is really showing some speed in that car, so fantastic job for him. But we've got some real good fighting going on between these cars up at the in the mid pack of the field. The front of the field is pretty much staying as it is, but they're not. They're just moving the cars into slight positions to make the other driver in front feel like the car behind them might be having a pass. Matt Danson's definitely looking at trying to get past Jason Martin at the moment. He is driving very close to him and just giving him that little bit of a fake dummy down the inside, down the outside, just making Jason look in his mirrors and trying to keep an eye on Matt Danson. So we're on board with Danson at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. It's always interesting to be on board with these guys because you get to see just, first of all, just how quick these cars are. You sort of, when you're looking at them from the outside, they do not look like they're going that fast, but these cars are going at extreme speeds, up to 300 kilometers per hour, and they're closing in on each other at these breakneck speeds. And looks like Danson's got a really good run on Martin here. He's going down the inside and he's stuck it. He's just got past Jason Martin, who is running a little bit high, but good work from Matt Danson there.
Yeah, Jason Martin let him go after he noticed he had just made a mistake. He made a very small, very small mistake. He ran just below that white line there, and that shot him up the track out of 2, and that slowed him down on the straightaway. And that's going to allow Matt Danson to take that 2nd position and try to run down Chris Purnell here. That's one of the things that you can hear, or you can watch when you're watching on board with these guys and see what the other guy's doing. And that was one of those things that you're able just to see only from that in-car position as they are going side by side. Huge battle still for that 7th position with Edward Foster, Josh Michelmore, and Riley Curtis.
I was about to say, it looked like they're going to try 3 wide shortly with that group there. Starting with Edward Foster leading Riley Curtis with Josh Michelmore, Darren McKenzie, and Mirko Danovic just behind them as well, with Kai Sloggett catching up with them. Those guys are really fighting it out at the moment. Car just slow on the low line there, not sure who that was.
That is Danny G coming out of the pits as Riley Curtis runs high. He's going to try to get that slingshot around Edward Foster, and he's going to put him on that high line. Today it seems to be the high line is where you want to be if you want to pass the car behind you. These guys are teammates. Edward Foster and Riley Curtis is there. Is a lead change. Matt Danson was able to get, it looks like he's almost able to get around him, and he does. So like we said earlier, Matt Danson is better, and there is a caution out on the track here.
Caution out. And it is Kai Sloggett and Mirko Danovic, I think. Kai Sloggett has gone right around. He's got quite a lot of damage to the car. Looks like
Mirko got loose coming off of 2 and just tagged Kai Sloggett. And that is huge for Matt Danson because he was just able to pip the lead just before that caution came out. I mean, it was literally just got the lead too. So
nice lucky moment for Danson there. So I imagine we'll be seeing everybody jumping back into the pit lane now, getting some fresh boots on the car. Popping in a bit of fuel. See how they go now. Of course, this stage of the race, we're sort of getting towards the halfway point. You start thinking about racing to the end, and you start counting down the laps, working out how long you can go. If we go green for the rest of the race, do I have enough fuel with this stop to go to the end of the race? Do I have enough tyres? Things like that. Now, nobody can make it to the end of the race currently, but if we get a caution around lap 64, if there is a possibility people might try to run it as long as they can under green, but I don't think we're going to see anyone doing a stint longer than about 35 to 40 laps. So coming towards the end of the sort of times, 35 to 40 laps, then we'll start seeing people trying to go for that sort of longer stop. But we're currently in the pits at the moment. Everybody's coming in.
It looks like Chris Purnell might have a chance to get him again. They just raced out. I'm not sure who got what.
I think Danson had the lead there. I think Danson was just way ahead there. He was just a tiny bit ahead there. And with Danson having that pit stall just I think, where's Chris? Yeah, Danson having that pit stall just a little bit ahead, it just helped him just get a little bit get out a little bit quicker. So really helped him out there. So good stop from Danson. Jason Martin as well has had another good stop. Of course, the Achilles pit stop, as we call it, for Jason Martin. It hasn't happened to him tonight, and we touch wood it won't. He's had some. It looks like he's been working really hard on those pit stops, and he's doing well at the moment, sitting in third place. A guy that I've actually just lost off my timing screen is Edward Foster. Just having a little bit of a look for him.
He's in 13th position.
13th.
Looks like he had a speeding penalty because he came into the pits 8th and he let everybody by him afterwards. So he may have had a speeding penalty, which sucks because he has not had the night that he's wanted so far.
No, tonight has been a bit of a night to forget for him. He's really been. It looks like that car has been a handful at the restarts, and with that penalty as well, he is not going to be happy. So really not a very good night for Foster to bear. But we've still got the other cars up there. This is given. I'm sure this will help Riley Curtis because he was racing hard with his teammate there. So he'll have a little bit less to worry about. He can race a little bit harder maybe. So the pit stops, we've got Matt Danson, Chris Purnell, Jason Martin, Gavin Sadler, Roger Clark, Riley Curtis, Darren McKenzie, Josh Michelmore up in 8th, Dave Douglas in 9th, and Joshua Carroll-Walden rocking out top 10.
Yeah, and if you notice on the stream, you'll see Kai Sloggett is out in front. What he's trying to do is he's trying to get his lap back. So what he's doing is he's just staying out there waiting for the lights to go off on the pace car. And once that happens, they clear all the lead lap, or all the cars that are lapped down in front of the leader. They go around, they get to wave around. If you're behind the leader, then you just go back to the back of the field. This is, something to allow the leaders to race, as you can see here. He will get his lap back. He wasn't actually a lap down, but he was, if he would have gone into the pits, he would have been a lap down. So what he's banking on is a quick caution so he can come in and get all this damage fixed up and get some new tires and what have you. Yes, so Kai Sloggett, who was involved in that last incident, has not pitted yet.
No, that is interesting to see, because it wasn't a huge amount of damage on Kai, but this is going to help him out enormously. But the pace car will be peeling off shortly. It looks like the lights are out, so Danson will become effectively the pace car himself, and everyone else will have to wait for him to put his foot to the floor before they do.
Yeah, so he's going to have the lead. I think this is only the second restart of the 4 that he's actually started, but I do believe he's got the most laps led out of everybody.
Yes, he's been out there quite a long time. He's having a very good race tonight. I'm just getting my information if I can find it. So Can't find my information, but one thing that I do find actually quite interesting is the fastest lap holder was Edward Foster, but we are green, away we go, and Matt Danson has a great restart there, and everybody else has caught away pretty cleanly. Riley Curtis just going up a little bit high, close to the wall, but managed to keep it on. And away we go. Joshua Carroll Walden is really pushing hard. He's trying to get up into some places quickly. And everybody will be trying to get sort of as far up in front as possible, because, of course, the further in front you are, you can just ease off a little bit. It's easier to catch than it is to pass sometimes. So you want to be in front of people, obviously. One of the other things as well is when you're following people on these kinds of tracks is you've got the hot air from the car in front coming onto you. Your car starts to get a little bit hotter, and that does affect the tyres a little bit and all those other things. Not as much as some tracks, but it can absolutely affect these cars.
And you'll see Jason Martin is just trying to work on Chris Purnell as fast as possible to try to get around Chris so he can make an attack at Matt Danson. But in turn, this will probably wear out Jason Martin's tires a lot quicker, and that attack on Matt Danson may never come if he doesn't hurry up and get around Chris Purnell here. As you see him just run a little bit higher to see if he can't get down below and get alongside of him, see if he can't make this pass coming off 3 and 4 as they go side by side here. And he's just going to hold it, see if he can keep it, and he does keep it. But as you'll see, Chris Purnell had the longer way around, but he's going to have more speed down the straightaway, and Jason Martin has the shorter way around, so it's kind of a give and take, and that's why these guys are able to stay side by side for as long as they do. Oh, he just gets a little loose there for Jason Martin as he had to avoid Chris Purnell just a little bit, and that's going to kill his tires, and that's going to put him way back in the pack there.
Yes, he lost a lot of positions there, but it could have been a lot worse, of course, if he spun that car around. And and there's a big one. Jason Martin's actually just gone off onto the grass. Jason Martin onto the grass. Somebody did touch the wall. I think it was possibly Riley Curtis. He was just pushed up into the wall slightly, but Jason Martin has just gone all the way back to the back of the field there. He's just gone across the grass infield on the tri-oval. Huge mistake there by Jason, and not what he wanted for tonight. That is a real shame.
Yeah, that's not exactly what he was looking for, but what had happened there was Roger Clark he was leaving room for Riley Curtis because they were about to go 3 wide. Jason Martin, in his ears here in his spotter, only say 2 wide, so he was pushing up as if there was only 2 wide, and it was just a racing incident if there ever was one. It sucks for Jason Martin, but you will see him back at the front sooner than later. We're still not even halfway at the not even halfway point yet.
Yeah, we're just getting close to that halfway point, but we're not quite there. Does look like there's a bit of damage to Riley Curtis, unfortunately. A little bit of damage, but nothing too major by the looks of things. Hopefully he'll be fine for the rest of the race, but he is dropping back a little bit now. So that's a real shame there for Riley, because he was on a great race up there, but the biggest loser, of course, was Jason Martin, who had a terrible, terrible moment there. But if there's anyone that can climb his way back, it is Jason Martin.
Yeah, and you look a little bit further back, you'll see for the battle for 4th place and the battle for 6th place are really starting to heat up as James Roby just threw it underneath Joshua Carroll Walden there, and it's going to put him up into the 6th position. And the number 75 of Darren McKenzie, who started in the 24th position, who is now currently racing in the 5th position. He's trying to find a way around the 09 of Roger Clark here, so good race for Darren McKenzie so far.
Yeah, McKenzie is having a fantastic race, and somebody I actually want to mention is Roger Clark up in 4th. He's having a fantastic race so far. He's made up some great positions. Roger Clark's made up 9 positions, and then Gavin Sadler in front of him, 12 positions. But then, of course, Darren McKenzie as well as James Robbie, 19 and 15 positions from the start. They're having a great race so far. So everything's starting to settle down a little bit after the restart. Of course, you get the furious, frantic action. Darren McKenzie is just going underneath Roger Clark there. They're just Looked like they were just trading a little bit of paint there, the two of them. Nothing major, no harm, no foul in that at all. And of course, stock car racing, it is all about just trading a little bit of paint here and there. There is no harm with rubbing doors with each other. Just don't spin the other person around.
Yeah, and they're still really, really close here for the third position with Gavin Sadler and Roger Clark. Roger Clark is just trying to find any way around, but there's a huge battle pack behind him here for Joshua Carroll and Josh Michelmore, Michael Scurlock, and Dave Douglas. They're all fighting for that 7th position, all kind of all over the place. You can see these guys utilizing every bit of this track here.
They are using every bit of track they can, and Dave Douglas there just looking to try drop low, and then just noticed Scurlock was just by him, so just managed to stop that one from happening. These guys are racing very well at the moment. Always good to see this kind of real close, fast action racing going on here. Just at the front though, with Matt Danson has streaked away at the moment. He is currently almost a second ahead at the moment from Chris Purnell. And then Chris Purnell's got almost about half a second over Gavin Sadler behind him. But fantastic run from Matt Danson again. Always just incredible to watch him. He just has so much speed and just has this annoying ability to keep his tyres relatively fresh as well. It can be very frustrating when you're racing the guy, but you just got to bow your hat to him sometimes. He just has some really good speed.
Yeah, and they're still battling pretty hard back here for the 7th position. Joshua Carroll's kind of made his own spot, but from 8th on back, that's where you see Josh Michelmore and Michael Scurlock. Dave Douglas in the 66 has now joined this battle with Daniel Stevens.
And Matty Clerk has just had a moment there going through the tri-oval. He just went down, almost clipped the grass. He just lost it a little bit going through the tri-oval there, but managed to save the car and not go out. Just behind him is actually Edward Foster catching up to him, with Riley Curtis back there in 14th place. Riley Curtis has dropped off quite a lot. It looks like he may have just got a bit more damage than we could spot, because he's really lost a lot of pace.
Yeah, interesting thing is, not to go back on it, but Jason Martin, who we said earlier was looking to make the pass for 2nd place. He's currently now in 19th position, about to make the pass on Mirko. He is actually faster than Matt Danson currently on track. Not by a whole lot, but he is faster. Currently last lap was a 30.881 for Matt Danson. This time it was just in the favor of Matt Danson, of a 31.881 to him and a 31.886 to Jason Martin. So you'll see Jason Martin move through this pack a little bit, as he's currently working 19th position. This is not the last time you've heard of Jason Martin this race, but we'll continue watching him throughout the race.
And he has actually just got past Mirko there, up into 18th place now. Mirko is actually having a good, not a great race today, but he's having a good season. Mirko is one of the new drivers into the Cup Series, and he's been fast. There is no doubting it, and he's been having some very good races. So he is somebody to watch for the future, guys. Mirko is a guy to keep your eye on, because he has definitely got the pace, and it's always scary to see these new guys coming in when they got pace, because we've got some fast guys in there, and if you've got pace to keep up with these guys and you're fresh to the series, you can only get faster sometimes, and it's a scary thing to say that. But we've got a great race going on back in 10th place with Josh Michelmore. It looks like Scurlock just made a small mistake there and had to just drop down to the drop down below the racing line. Looks like he just had a bit of a wobble there, a bit of a moment, and decided to drop down to the bottom of the track rather than crash. But Dave Douglas is sitting behind him currently in 11th. But the battle is starting to ease off a little bit for those guys. We've still got Josh Michelmore and Daniel Stevens having a little bit of a ding-dong, but not too much between them at the moment. Everything is starting to settle down, and we might see quite a few laps of green going on here.
Yeah. Currently, this is their longest green flag run. They did have we've had an 11-lap run, a 12-lap run, a 15 lap run. Now we're all the way up to 15 currently, so we'll continue seeing if we can make this longer and longer, and you'll start to see more of the track come in, as you'll see more comer and goers, as they're still side by side for that 8th position with Josh Michelmore and Daniel Stevens. They have not left each other's door for probably about the last 5 to 10 laps or so.
No, some fantastic driving on there, and Scurlock's just coming up behind him, licking his lips, trying to get past the both of them if they make a mistake. And it's just let Josh and Harold Walden just have a bit of breathing room, along with James Robbie as well, who is just catching on Darren McKenzie. Darren McKenzie and Roger Clark there in 4th and 5th place are sort of sitting happy at the moment. But this is where we're going to see the people who are just driving to, not driving at full pace, they're just driving around trying to keep their tyres a little bit fresher. See those guys go a little bit longer than others maybe, see them have a little bit better car as the race goes on. This is the thing that interests me now, is let's see who can actually go the longest on these tyres and see who can actually make this work. And see who blinks first, of course, as well, because right now we've got 78 laps of 133, so it's going to get a little bit tricky to make it sort of towards the end. You will need to make another pit stop at the current state of things, but if it continues to green like this, people are going to try and egg it out as long as possible, because the longer they can go on this stint means the longer they can go on the next stint. So they're going to try their best to keep on going.
Daniel Stevens was finally able to get in front of Josh Michelmore. I don't know if he's going to be able to clear him here, and he just doesn't.
Roger Clark just got into the side of Darren McKenzie there. Big bump between the two. Roger Clark was just getting passed by McKenzie, and Roger Clark has just dropped down for a few positions, and he's spun it. And Roger Clark's just gone on the infield. He's managed to keep the car straight. He's managed to keep it on the track, and he's joined back up with the rest of the field. But a big moment for Roger Clark there. Don't know what actually happened to him. Looks like he may have a bit of damage to the car, and it's just caused him to just go off because he wasn't expecting the car to handle that way, and he's lost a lot of positions. So very, very bad moment for Roger Clark there. He's going to be really upset with that because he was running well in 4th place.
Yeah, he got really loose coming off turn 2, and that kind of gave him a little bit of a nudge with Darren McKenzie, and then he got loose coming off turn 4, and that got him touching with the James Roby Toyota Camry. So he just bounced off a few players, and he'll be back sooner than later. He's back in the 12th position, but he was able to drive himself from 13th to 3rd. So I don't think he's going to be He's not going to be back here for too long. He should be able to move up pretty sooner than later.
Yes, he'll try his best. Speaking of people moving up, we've got Jason Martin in 16th place. He's trying to catch back up. Edward Foster in 13th place now. Those two guys are trying their best to get back up to the top of the field. They've got Matty Cluett and Riley Curtis with them. Riley Curtis is having a dreadful time out there. His car does not look very stable at all. It's just wobbling. The back end is really not looking very good on that thing. He's going to be wanting a caution thrown sooner rather than later, I think. As he just scrapes the wall again, actually, Riley Curtis there. He's really struggling out there tonight, which is a real shame to see. Josh Michelmore and Dave Douglas are having Josh Michelmore and Michael Scurlock are having a bit of a good fight. But one thing I did want to say was, if we manage to get to lap 90, that could be the last pit stop. If these guys can make it to lap 90, then they can possibly go to the end of the race. It's going to be tricky, but they can do it.
Yeah, one thing to look out for is what we've been talking about most of the time, is with that undercut, as we sit here and watch the battle between Scurlock and Josh Michelmore continue to develop. One thing you'll notice is some of these guys will drop down really, really early. I think if it's smart of him, Jason Martin will probably be the first one to come into the pits, because he is one of the fastest guys on the track, but he just needs some track position and fast. And that's one easy way to do it, as just in front of Scurlock you have Daniel Stevens and the 35 of Joshua Carroll Walden. They're sitting there side by side, and Daniel Stevens is trying to make that pass. But one of the things that you'll see is when they do come into the pit, you'll see the huge speed difference between new tires and old tires. It's almost Currently, right now, they're about 2 seconds faster than what they were qualifying at, or 2 seconds slower than what they were qualifying at. So you'll see it going through the corners. The guys on new tires will just look like they're in a different class of the guys with old tires. So that'll be one thing to watch if we can stay green until green flag pit stops.
Yes, a guy to watch out for is actually James Robbie. It looks like he's looked after his tyres really well, and he's got some fantastic speed. He's just got past Darren McKenzie, and he's climbing up with his teammate Gavin Sadler. Actually, they're in third and fourth at the moment, so great showing by those guys. And they are slightly catching on the front guys, although Matt Danson is just almost in a class of his own, 2.7 seconds ahead of Chris Purnell at the moment. He is pulling away at a vast rate of knots, so he's going to be wanting this race to run green for a bit longer, of course.
Yeah, I think all of these guys kind of want the race to go green, as it's a lot more fun when you can have a good green flag run and get some green flag pit stops in, because pitting here is hard. Pitting at any oval is hard enough, but one where your corner speeds are at 250 kilometers an hour, you go from that to 90 kilometers an hour within, and looks like we've got our first blinker. Roger Clark is come down to the pits first out of everybody. Okay, so he is currently pitted on lap 87.
It will be interesting to see how he goes. Now, pitting at lap 87 is going to make it possible. It's possible for him to go to the end if we remain green.
Oh, we got a contact between 75 and 41. James Roby and Darren McKenzie. Darren McKenzie did not give him any room to go down low, and they came together. I thought that was going to be a lot bigger than it was, but they were able to get away with it, and it's going to give a little bit of damage to James Roby.
Yeah, that's a real shame, because James Roby's been fighting really hard. Scurlock actually is coming for a bit of a charge on Joshua Carroll-Walden, who looks like he's struggling a little bit. The car doesn't look too stable out there. It looks to be a little bit wobbly on the back end. He's doing a great job of keeping it straight, but it does not look like it's a car that's great to drive at the moment. So we're getting to that magical lap of lap 90 now, so theoretically people can make it to the end of the race from here if they pit. So it'll be interesting to see who does. But of course, you're going to want to stay out that a little bit longer. You're going to want to pit a couple of laps before the rest of the guys, but try and eke it out as long as you can, because the longer you can go on this stint means the less time you've got to spend on the tyres for the next stint. And it's just weighing up your options, trying to work out what the best way of going about it is.
And you'll see Roger Clark, he is now the only driver out here on new tires. You'll start to see him it looks like he's slowing down he's got something going on, or I don't know. He was really slow on the front stretch, but you can see just how much those all four new tires make. But it looks like he's just going really slow down the straightaway. May have some engine damage or something, because he is really slow on the straightaway. You can see just how much faster he is on the corners.
He did have a bit of a big tap earlier on and ended up on the infield. So it might just be that he's got some damage to that engine, because he is really slow.
He's just not going. He's just not going at all. I don't know what he's doing. He's like, he'll go down the straightaway and he's just not hitting the gas. Yeah. Because now you see I think he might be mad at James Roby. Oh yeah,
and yes, he's just given James Roby a bit of a tap there, and just spun him up the track a little bit there. So Roger Clark there, just not the best sportsmanship there, just giving James Roby a little bit of a love tap there from earlier on in the race. James Roby there is really struggling to get that car back online, but he has kept it there. So good job by James. But yeah, he's obviously annoyed. Roger Clark there. I think they had the tap earlier on, so definitely a bit of a moment of the red vision coming into effect.
Yeah, and I don't know why he was really upset with James Roby. He just got loose underneath him after getting loose in turn 1 and 2. So I'm not exactly sure why he was that mad, but you can see now that he's full throttle. He is absolutely catching Gavin Sadler here, and that undercut that we were talking about earlier, he's lost a lot of it because he was messing around with Sadler's teammate.
Yeah, he's sort of cut his nose off to spite his face, so to say, which it's going to affect him. But the one thing that he is doing is he's giving information to the other drivers tonight. He's giving information about the tyres and how much speed advantage are new tyres now. So we're going to get people possibly coming in. We've got Josh Michelmore coming in. He's actually pitted. And we've got the...
Riley Curtis is coming out of the pits.
Yeah. And Kai Sloggett as well is currently in the pits. But Josh Michelmore is one of the fast guys, one of the front runners to pit. He's just come in, popped some new rubber on there, popped some fuel in there, and he has got enough to go to the end of the race now if he chooses to. So it'll be interesting to see now, because everybody else is going to have to watch themselves, because he might make up some good positions now.
Yeah, we got James Martin and the Joshua Carroll Walden are both also in the pits now, trying to get their new 4 fresh Goodyear Eagle tires.
Yes, and I think Edward Foster as well has made a pit stop. So quite a lot of the guys that are running a little bit lower down the field have started making those pit stops already. So
we have a battle setting up for 4th place also. Michael Scurlock, Darren McKenzie, and Daniel Stevens are all right next to each other. Scurlock was just able to get Darren McKenzie for that 4th position, and they are battling it out here. Don't be surprised if one of these guys towards the back of this small little battle pack here will drop down to the pits first to try to get the undercut to get around them easier.
Yeah, this is the time you really want to do it, but of course you've got to make it at the right time. It's getting that right time, right decision, because pitting now might hurt you later on in the race. You've just got to try and weigh out your options, but it's definitely worth a roll of the dice for somebody like Gavin Sadler or Darren McKenzie, just to try that sort of undercut pit stop. Also, the other thing right now is running as they are, there's that danger of just slipping a little bit. It's easy to make a mistake on these very worn tyres. Running this close can be very dangerous.
Yeah, and it looks like just exiting the pits is Matthew Clowett here in that really nice paint scheme for the Auto Kings guys. You'll see him just do like the same as the other drivers. You'll see him just able to get really quick, get around here, as Jason Martin and Riley Curtis are currently battling for the 17th position. Not exactly sure what that position actually is, but these guys are battling for position here with those brand new tires on their car.
Yeah, the new tyres are definitely helping out. People like Edward Foster and Joshua Carroll Walden, Josh Michelmore, they're setting... Josh Michelmore's actually just set a 30.14, which is 2 seconds faster than our leader. 2 and a bit seconds faster than our leader. So those new tyres are really helping out now. We're going to start seeing these guys catching up quite quickly. Of course, the other thing now is if the caution flag comes out, it can help people and it can really affect other people. It can really ruin your race when you're racing green like this. If a caution flag comes out when you've made that sort of earlier pit stop, sometimes it can really affect you quite poorly. But we'll see how they go. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Josh Michelmore was just able to pass Ben Doughty there for the 12th position on track. And it's probably effectively around the 6th position there, 5th position, as that's where they were fighting earlier. James Roby and Daniel Stevens, you'll see them. They haven't pitted yet. It looks like Daniel Stevens is about to pit now, as you'll see him there. And Josh Michelmore just takes him. That is the difference in speed there between new tires and old tires. And also Daniel Stevens is currently pitting, so he should be able to get around Scurlock and Darren McKenzie here and take away that position that they once had.
Yeah, just the speed difference is just... The catching speed is something that's scary. It's something... it's similar to multi-class racing right now, when you've got different tyres on the cars. When you've got fresh tyres and old tyres, it's almost like multi-class racing in GTs and things like that, is you have an insane closing speed. The cars with the old tyres are just so much slower than you. They feel like they're in 2 classes below you. It's like racing an LMP1 car and a GT car. It's just that much of a speed difference. You just whizzed past everybody.
So we'll see where Daniel Stevens come out, because he was running in the 6th position. So we'll see where he pops on out of here as he comes out of the pits. Currently behind him is his teammate Roger Clark. So we'll see if he can't hold off. He won't be able to hold off Roger Clark, but should be able to hold off
the guy behind him. We've got Scurlock coming into the pit lane right now. Michael Scurlock's pitting. Chris Purnell is pitting as well. Darren McKenzie stayed out, and the leader Matt Danson has also pitted. So we've got the leaders pitting now. So they've darted into the pit lane. Darren McKenzie and Dave Douglas look to have stayed out, as well as Marco Dernacht. He stayed out on the track as well. So currently, as it stands, Dernacht has managed to make it up into 3rd place. So that won't stand for long, but he'll be quite happy about that. But one of the things and Darren McKenzie comes in the pits. So Dave Douglas will come round and take the lead, and this will give him a lap lead. So it will give him an extra point, which is always welcome. But those tyres are definitely second hand on him right now. He's really struggling for pace.
Yeah, what has happened is Matt Danson has pitted. So once your leader pits and you have it pitted, that's for sure that is not the best strategy call, especially on these ovals, because they do have that large speed advantage. So basically, you're just waiting for a caution is what you're waiting on. You want these guys to run for about 10 more laps and then a caution come out. That's exactly what these guys up front, Dave Douglas, Mirko, Steve Williams, those guys, that's what they're waiting on. They're not waiting on anything else other than a caution. But it's got to be long enough to where Matt Danson has to come back into the pits. That's the thing. That's the catcher.
That's it. And it's sort of, as I say, everybody right now can make it to the end of the race. So if there's no caution right now, those guys in front need to pit. They don't have the chance to. Stephen Williams and Dave Douglas cannot run to the end of the race right now.
Yeah, and your effective leader currently is Josh Michelmore, and that's the speed advantage that he had from getting those brand new fresh tires. Now he's going to have to really hold on, because currently Matt Danson's about half a second quicker than him, because he pitted about 10 laps earlier than Matt Danson. But currently, right now, if the race were to end right now, Josh Michelmore would have the win. Dave Douglas and Steve Williams will have to pit sooner than later.
Yeah, I think Stephen Williams is going to try and go around to try and get a lap led. He's had quite a bit of damage to that car. He's had 6 pit stops already, so he's not having the greatest night. But he's come round and at least he's led 1 lap tonight, so he's going to get that bonus point for that. But Josh Michelmore is catching him quite quickly. I don't think Stephen Williams is expecting to win this race. I think he was just trying for that bonus point, and I expect we'll see him in next lap. Joshua Carroll-Walden is catching on Josh Michelmore, but Matt Danson is catching on both of them at a rapid rate. And Matt Danson has just gone below Michelmore, and looks like he has just got the position. So Matt Danson has effectively moved up into 2nd place. And he's catching on Michelmore at a vast rate of knots as well. So we'll see what happens as these pit stops start to shake out. We'll see what happens towards the end of this race now as well, because with 23 laps to go, if the caution's thrown right now, it would be worth chucking on some fresh tyres for some of these guys, because it could make a difference for the last few laps.
Yeah, Matt Danson just got around that Josh Michelmore car. What Stephen Williams is trying to do right now is he's waiting on a caution just so he can stay on the lead lap, go ahead and get his pits done. He's not worried about anything, and if a caution doesn't come out, then he's worried about it. It will definitely be 2 laps down. But right now, he's just worried about it, seeing if he can't get a caution to fly, so he'll just stay on the lead lap as he just goes ahead and takes the pit now.
Yeah, I think those tyres were just getting a bit too worn for him, and I don't think he could hold on much longer. But this has worked out perfectly for Matt Danson. He has really just extended his lead over... it was effectively Chris Purnell who was following him, wasn't it? Back before these pit stops came out. Chris is down in 5th place, but just behind him is a guy that's making a fantastic climb back up the field. Is Jason Martin in 6th place.
Yeah, before the pits he was in 12th position, and that was what that early pit stop gave him, when he pitted before a lot of the other guys. Now he's up in the 6th place. He's got a massive gap between him and the guy behind, which is Matthew Clowett in that 7th position. They have a huge gap now. Another thing is Josh Michelmore. He was able to get a lot of positions gained when he came in for his pit stop. He was in the, let's see here, he was in the 9th position as soon as pit started, and then he pitted on lap number 95 along with Jason Martin, and that allowed for him to go all the way up to that 2nd position and holding off Joshua Carroll-Walden there for that 2nd position there.
Yes, a brilliant move by Michelmore. He's just made up so many good positions. Another guy that's made up some really good positions is actually Ben Doherty in 5th place. He's climbed his way up the leaderboard as well. So a fantastic drive by Doherty, who had a bit of an off earlier on. He had a bit of an accident beginning of the race, towards the sort of early stages of this race, and had a little bit of damage, and wasn't looking so good for him earlier on, but now he's in 5th place. Ben Doherty's been having a fantastic year this season, so he's really driving the car so well. It is strange to see the car in a new livery. It's a very nice livery, but must admit I do miss the Martini one. But a fantastic drive by him. The 313 up in 5th place at the moment.
Yeah, currently there's a big battle happening right now for that 7th position. You have Gavin Sadler and Michael Scurlock. Those guys are really going at it as they have just pitted. And Scurlock actually has the newer tires of the two here, as Gavin pitted on lap 103 and Scurlock is 1 lap later. So we'll see if Scurlock was able to use that little bit of the tire and see if he might be able to get around him. He went up on the top line there, and he's trying to go back down low. Very common here at Las Vegas, where you run really high to try to get the run down that backstretch, carry more speed going into 3, and see if you can't clear him coming off a 4, which currently they're side by side. We'll see if he can complete the pass going into turn 1. You might be able to. He's just clear for now. He's going to have to, yep, he sure does. He tries to drive over top of him, and Sadler try to go up underneath, and that's not going to work here with what seems to be, my math is correct, you've got 16 laps to go here.
Yeah, it looked like Gavin just gave off on the throttle a tiny bit there just to stop the tap there. They were really racing hard, those two, so fantastic job. Dave Douglas, the sort of last of the pitters now, he's up in 14th place at the moment, with a bit of a trek to get to his teammate actually in 13th place of Edward Foster, and then Riley Curtis in 12th. But he is catching those guys. So Dave Douglas, we might see him climbing up the field a little bit later on when these guys' tyres start to go off. But we still have Matt Danson off in the lead. Just a huge gap now of almost 6 seconds to Chris Purnell. Chris Purnell has lost out a lot in those pit stops. He's lost a lot of time to Matt Danson. Just caught up in the other cars there, just passing them all. Josh Michelmore, it's really paid off though, getting up into 3rd place. Really good drive by Josh, with Joshua Carroll-Walden behind him as well, and Jason Martin just hunting them down.
Yeah, it looks like Ben Doughty there, he got up into turn 1 wall, and he went from 5th all the way back to 8th, as that's going to really hurt his travels back up to the top 5, as he was in the top 5, and he just tagged the top of the wall at turn 1, and that allowed Jason Martin, Michael Scurlock, and Gavin Sadler to all run around him there on the bottom there.
The curse of the commentator strikes again. I really shouldn't talk about these drivers. I should just say certain cars and places. Whenever you mention a driver's name, something bad is going to happen to them, unfortunately. But Ben Doherty's still in 8th place, so not terrible. So we'll see if he can climb his way back up a little bit further.
Currently, we're kind of in a dull moment as we just got through the pits, as probably the best battle on track right now is going to be Michael Scurlock and Jason Martin. Michael Scurlock has much better tires. Jason Martin pitted on lap 95. Scurlock pitted on lap 105. So there's 10 laps difference between these tires. We'll see if Jason Martin is able to hold on to this lead, as it looks like he's just going to go ahead and give it up to the 350, which is a bit odd for Jason Martin. Jason Martin's normally not somebody who just gives up a spot here with 11 laps to go.
I just think the speed difference there was a bit too much for Jason to hold off. It looked like he was just unable to hold that car back. He's trying for the high line there, and Gavin Sadler is actually just going down below, and looks like Gavin Sadler might catch Jason Martin off guard here as well, so Jason's fallen back a little bit further as well, just behind Gavin Sadler. So I wonder if Jason's got a little bit of a problem there, or if his tyres have just fallen off the cliff.
Yeah, his tires are about 10 laps older than the other two, so that's where that speed difference is coming from. Yes,
big difference in speed there, and it's amazing how 10 laps can make such difference on tyres. You know, you look at it and you think, oh, it can't be that much, but it really does make a big difference. We've got a good battle going on between no, sorry, that was a lapped car, but Joshua Carroll-Walden's catching up on Josh Michelmore as well. They're fighting quite hard for their positions. Joshua Carroll-Walden, and Josh Michelmore are sort of fighting it out. They stopped reasonably close to each other, I believe. Looking on the chart. So it looks like Joshua Carroll-Walden's got slightly newer tyres, just by 1 lap though, so it's not going to make too much difference. But we'll see how those go. But Chris Parnell and Matt Danson have just got such a huge advantage over the rest of the field. Barring some sort of strange, crazy incident where some sort of giant cat leaps onto the track and just knocks the cars around, I can't see Matt Danson going too far back right now.
Yeah, right now Darren McKenzie's trying to make his way back up through the field. He is currently in the 8th position. He was up towards the front earlier, and then just waited a little too long to take that pit stop, and it's got him way back now. But he might be able to close that gap up a little bit, as we see Josh Michelmore is actually moving backwards too, as Michael Scurlock has got those newer tires and is really trying to try to close that gap up. Remember, Josh Michelmore and Jason Martin pitted on the same lap, and that's going to allow for Scurlock probably just to drive on around him here with 6 laps to go, and give Josh Michelmore no chance at even defending this spot here, as he's just going to keep it. And the 350 there might be able just to pass him going through 3 and 4 here. Yeah, it's looking like as soon as he clears them here off turn 4, it's going to be all Josh back in the 4th position.
He's just got too much drive coming off those corners, and Gavin Sadler as well. He's just charging his way up as well. Just stormed his way past Joshua Carroll-Walden, sorry. Too many Joshes, makes things hard. But yeah, he's just absolutely stormed his way past. So Gavin Sadler there sitting in 5th place, having a good drive too, and I reckon he's just going to breeze past Michelmore in the next couple of laps. So, looking down the field, everybody's a bit spread out now from those pit stops. Dave Douglas is having a relatively good comeback. He's managed to get up to 12th. So he's currently trying to catch Ben Doherty for 11th place. So good little race for Dave Douglas there. He sort of started off in that position. He started off in 11th, I think, at the beginning of this race. And he's trying to get his way back up into that position. So really good job by Dave. And of course, Dave has much fresher tyres than everybody else. He stormed past his teammates of Riley Curtis and Edward Foster, and yeah, really trying to get his way back up and just sort of getting a good points finish now. It's all of that. So it's that thing to do with just getting a good points finish as we get 4 laps to go.
Yeah, 4 laps to go, and currently I don't really see a real close battle except for the MFR guys back in 9th and 10th. Those are currently the closest guys out on track. They're about 0.2 of a second. There's still a gap in between them. The biggest difference is right now is just all the guys who have newer tires have passed those on the older tires. And it's kind of a waiting game now. There's only 3 laps to go, and Matt Danson has absolutely ran this field through the ground. I mean, he has led just about every lap, it seems, and has really done a really great job here tonight.
Yeah, Danson has just just had this track to himself almost. He has really raced well. Just fantastic drive for Danson. It's we've had 10 lead changes tonight, but most of those were through cautions and people just staying out a bit longer in those cautions. Danson has really just been out there for the most of the time. One interesting thing though, just my driver that I was watching was actually Edward Foster, did have the fastest lap of the night apparently, so something for him, something to take solace in, at least.
But yeah, his night was not what he was looking for, though.
No, I can't say he's too happy about that. Final lap now with the white flag is out. Matt Danson is cruising it to the home. He can just almost lift off the pedal now and not worry too much about it.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like Jason Martin might be able to get Joshua Carroll Walden here at the very last, here going through turn 3 and 4 as they drive through 3 and 4 side by side. Jason Martin might be able to get a little 6th place finish out of this, as it is the final time through 3 and 4. They go side by side. He goes underneath the apron, and that's they both get loose trying to get to the finish, and it will be Joshua Carroll Walden by less than a tenth. It looks like actually it looks like 7/1000ths of a second will separate them from
very
6th to 7th.
Moment there. Yeah, that was that was a very good drive for him. He just absolutely was holding it there just to the very end. He very narrowly didn't make it, but Matt Danson, what a win there for him. Fantastic drive and fantastic victory for Matt. The first win for Matt Danson this season for the Cup, actually. So 3 races, 3 different winners. That's always a good sign for a championship. We like to see that. Lots of different winners coming in, but this is going to help Danson's championship out no end.
Yeah, it was a really good race by him. Perfect on his end. Maybe the only thing that wasn't quote-unquote perfect was that second pit stop where Chris Purnell was able to get around him. But other than that, I don't remember any time where he made any kind of slip-up or mistake. So, good race for him, and he was able to take the win by 8.7 seconds. And that is not an easy thing to do around this place.
No, a commanding victory by him. It Matt Danson has this ability with tyres. Jason Martin as well. He's another driver that just has this just strange, unnatural ability just to keep their tyres, just make them last a race distance and not really have any problems with them at all. But Matt Danson, fantastic drive for him. First win in these colours in the Cup Series as well. So fantastic job for the number 30 there. So what we'll do is we'll just run down our field. So our winner was, of course, the aforementioned Matt Danson, with Chris Purnell coming home just behind him. In 3rd place, we have Michael Scurlock. 4th place is Gavin Sadler. 5th, Josh Michelmore. Good comeback by Michelmore there. He made 18 places overall. Joshua Carroll Walden held off Jason Martin by the tiniest of gaps there at the end. Jason Martin finishing 7th. Josh Carroll Walden finishing 6th. Darren McKenzie finished 8th. 9th was Matthew Clutt. Then in 10th place was Ben Doherty. Coming in at 11th place was Riley Curtis, with Edward Foster following him, and Dave Douglas finishing just behind them. So the team rates there just all finishing in order. Daniel Stevens came in 14th place, with Marco Donak finishing in 15th. A good race for Marco, but he had a few problems, unfortunately, got a few unlucky incidents. Phil Otto finished in 16th place, Norman Clark in 17th, Stephen Williams came home in 18th place, with James Robbie in 19th place, Roger Clark in 20th, Danny G 21st, Ricky Cornwall 22nd, Kai Sloggett 23rd, Nicholas Shields 24th, Jake Maloney in 25th, Jackson Callow 26th, and that was the last of our starters. So fantastic race there, really good drive. What we might do is we'll see who's lurking around in the green room, and what we might do is we'll actually just grab our race winner, Matt Danson. Matt Danson, Carl Withy here from Performance E-Streaming for the E53 ANZCAR Cup race. Congratulations on the victory.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.
Now, from your perspective, how did that race go? Obviously, it went quite well, but did you find it quite a challenging race?
Yeah, I mean it's a challenging track, I suppose. There's multiple lines, different things you can do. I was just trying to be patient, to be honest with you, and hope for a long run to let it sort of all play out. And I was kind of fortunate that it did. Yeah.
Yeah, we were very pleased to see a long run, actually, because I wanted to see the pace of everybody on the tyres, because one thing that I did hear from a lot of drivers before the start of this race, with tyres were going off rather quickly, but it looked like you were sort of able to keep that tyre life in there for quite a while. Did you feel like the tyres weren't going off as quickly for you as maybe some of the others?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on where I was starting. If I restarted in the lead, I could kind of jump out and set the pace. If I was restarting sort of back a little bit, I was just letting the other guys do their thing and fall in line and then wait for the tyres to go that way. So I was just kind of, saving, conserving, and just waiting for the right time.
Wonderful. Ryan, do you have any questions for Matt?
No, just the only thing I got to say is it was a good race by you for sure. And were at the beginning of those runs, were you always trying to conserve tires, or were you just kind of going out all out and you just happened to be the fastest on old tires?
Essentially, like over the last week to 2 weeks, I've spent a lot of time just trying to improve my driving in general. So I've gotten a lot better at being able to go pretty hard whilst keeping and sort of babying the tires a little bit. So I was going reasonably quick, but that's why I guess I was able to keep the pace with those guys at the front, while still just treating the tires like they were made of butter. And I guess it paid off. So all the practice has helped.
Cool deal. Yeah, it was a good race by you, and I don't remember seeing you do any sort of mistakes at all, other than Purnell getting you out of the pits. But other than that, it seemed like a really perfect race for you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, there was no dramas for me. It was just about pacing myself and getting through it. And I guess I've got to thank my teammates as well. So Braden, he wasn't here tonight, and Ashton. We've sort of done a fair bit of testing together, just in general, not at this track, but just in general, just getting the hang of the cars, the tyre, and it's sort of starting to pay dividends.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was just about to ask if you did want to give a shout out to anyone, so that's always good to hear. And what they say, practice makes perfect, and it looks like perfect did come for you tonight.
Yeah, I guess it did.
Wonderful. Thank you ever so much, Matt. We will see you again, I am sure, in a couple of races. I expect to see you in here in a few races this year, so have a good championship. We'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, boys. Cheers.
Okay, so Matt Danson, the winner there in the car number 30. A fantastic race for him. What we might do next is actually grab, let's have a look, see who we've got down there in the green room. Might grab Chris Purnell down, actually, the second place man. Chris Purnell, Carl Withy here from Performance eStreaming. How are you going?
Hey, I'm good, thanks, buddy, and yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Congratulations on second place.
Yeah, cheers, man. It's a bit of a redemption after Atlanta and throwing it away with a couple to go, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Yes, it's all good. It's all going to build up for the championship, of course. How was the race from your perspective?
Hot, slippery, tight. It was a hard one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a lot of drivers did look like they were struggling with the tyres out there. Did it help you having a little bit more clean air, do you think, to keep the tyres sort of a little bit better towards the end of the race?
Yeah, that probably played a little bit of a factor into it, but I was trying to be really patient with the throttle and not pick it up too early, because I knew as soon as you did, you sort of got tight in the mid-corner, and then you'd push up into the wall, and then it would sort of get this big kick of oversteer. So I tried to keep the throttle traced down as much as I could until I was sort of straight on the back.
Yes, well, it looked to have paid off for you. You gained a few spots from the qualifying, and second place is not too bad at all. I'll throw over to Ryan now. Do you have any questions for Chris?
Not a whole lot. You know, it's just it was a really good race from you. It looked like it was pretty easy for the most part for you. You know, other than I believe you got into the wall probably once or twice, or was that your teammate or one of the two? I guess both of y'all did. I don't know. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty good race from you, man.
Yeah, and I'm pretty happy. Yeah, I grazed the wall, but it gave me 0 contact, and I didn't actually have any damage, so I barely touched it. But yeah, Mick, my teammate, hit the wall a couple of times, and he struggled a little bit with tightness at the start of the run, but he was pretty happy to come back through the field as well. So, no, overall, I'm stoked, to be honest with you. It's yeah, like I said, it's a good run after the last one where I threw it away.
Congratulations. Now, did you have anyone you wanted to thank tonight, Chris?
Just want to thank all the boys at Illusion Motorsport, all the competitors that show up each week and put on good racing, you guys up in the booth at Performance E-Streaming, and Old School Motorsport Graphics and Designs for doing all our liveries.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. Have a great time, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again over the season.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Okay, so yeah, just Chris Purnell there, and we got time for one more. We might grab somebody that was down a little bit further in the field. I might just grab Riley Curtis up. Riley Curtis, Carl Withy here from Performance E-Streaming. How are you going?
Not too bad, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, 11th for you tonight. It looked like it was a bit of a tricky race for you.
Yeah, I didn't qualify great. I was nowhere in practice for pace, and I ended up having a bit of an incident when I think Jason Martin got pushed below the line, and everyone just sort of stacked up, and I was the unlucky one to get to the fence.
Yeah, it was a good bit of recovery from you because you did drop down quite a bit at some stages. How was the track for you tonight? Did you find it quite tricky?
In the short run, I wasn't confident, but in the long run, I could get the mid-line through 1 and 2 and high line in 3 and 4 to work, which was good, but after my contact with the wall, it was a bit sketchy to drive.
Yeah, we did notice that, actually. Like you did start losing a bit of pace once you just caught that wall, which was a real shame. But quite a good result for the team tonight.
Yeah, we all ended up in trouble at the end there. I think we were all finished 11th, 12th, 13th or something when we were all one for top.
Yes, that's it. You sort of finished it all in unison. So obviously, relatively equal pace between teammates, which is something that you generally want to see. But not the best night for the team, obviously. Of course, we've always got new races to come, and we know that you guys can be strong. It looked like you did struggle out there quite a bit tonight. Do you expect more from next week? Well, in 2 weeks' time for the next race?
Hopefully. I haven't even looked at the calendar to see where we're running, to be honest, but always keen to jump back in, put the last race behind us, see where we're...
Wonderful. And of course you had that new livery tonight, the K&N car tonight. Looked fantastic on the stream.
Yeah, cheers for that. A little bit more simple than I'm used to doing. Turned out alright though, so there'll probably be 1 or 2 more throughout the year that I'll let you know.
Wonderful. Yeah, it did throw us off a little bit in the booth. Ryan, did you have anything for Riley Curtis tonight?
No. It seemed like in the beginning of the race you were running up front or closer to the front. You know, started in 12th, and you're able to move up a little bit, and then seemed like once the tires started to get away from you, it just didn't drive right. Was that what you were feeling, where the car just was not feeling correct when the tires started to fall off, or did you wear them off too soon, or what was going on there?
At the start, I think the first 3 cautions came at roughly 15 lap intervals, and it was pretty good to that point, but that was when Roger touched me and I got to the wall, which ruined the front right, and it kept burning off then, which would make it a bit sketchy out of 3 and 4 and through the tri-oval. So before that I felt like I had good long run pace, but once that happened it was...
Alrighty, cool. Well, it was good to see you bounce back, be able to get back to where you were, at least where you qualified from. So good job, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Riley. Okay, so the race is over and done with. We are all finished from here at Las Vegas. Very interesting race all in all. Good bit of green racing at the end there, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was nice to see a good green flag run to finish out the race, and while it wasn't exactly as extremely as exciting as something small, but it was really nice to see the finish of the race, go green, and had a really nice race. Next week we will be at Auto Club, a very flat 2-mile track, and it will be it's going to be a lot different than this track for sure.
Yes, it's going to be a very different race next week next fortnight at the Auto Club Speedway. Very different indeed. So I guess with that we'll wrap up this broadcast. From me, Carl Withy, Ryan Shelton, and of course Matt Hunter on the stream. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you all in 2 weeks' time.